my Trek Slash Gen 6 bike check and review. So if you're tuning into this video, you either watched my previous video from the race that I did on my new Slash and you want to find out if I have resolved the issues that I had, or you're just here because you want to find out a little bit more information about the Slash 9. So Trek do 7 different build kits. I'm looking at them right here and they are all different components on every different bike and different price ranges. So my one comes in at £5,175 and the top of the range one comes in at £11,750. The differences are the Axis T-type shifting, so you've got the top of the range stuff on that. You've got RockShox Zebs, whereas mine came with RockShox Select, I think. So quite low end stuff. I also want to mention it is a mullet, so that means 275 wheel in the rear, 29 up front. You can alter it and you can change like the geometry of the bike, but I think you have to buy those parts separately from what I read on the information. So I want to talk a little bit about sizing. So I am 5'11". I weigh around about 85, 86 kilograms on a really good day. Frame reach is coming in at 468.1 for a medium large. I typically normally ride a large bike and they are 488.1, so that's quite a big difference. And I wanted to go on the side of this being more of a playful bike. Something that could dive in and out of the trees faster, and something that didn't feel like big long train like previous bikes I've rode in the past. So we experimented with a medium large and I think it is a really nice fit in general. The wheelbase is 1,253.2 for the medium large versus the large being 1,277.7, so it isn't that long a bike. This bike is also, like I said, a high pivot, so the whole chain line in the rear end lengthens as you compress the suspension, so you can imagine getting a large and then that being even bigger as far as the wheelbase goes and how it would ride. Regarding how the bike is on climbing, from the 2 days that I did in the race, so practice on Saturday and race on Sunday, it actually felt like I was in quite a nice neutral position. So the seat tube didn't feel like too slack, it didn't feel too steep, pretty much bang on in the middle. I felt like I was on top of the bike, which is what I want when I'm climbing. Head angle feels good. I think off the top of my head, I think it's 63.3 throughout all the sizes of the bike. So that's from medium all the way up to XL. That works well for climbing, works well for descending. Regarding descending, it was quite difficult to focus because my chain was coming off so much, which we'll chat about later. I felt like going through the chunk, it was pretty good. I'm running like a coil shock in the rear, so I don't know what it would be like with an air shock, but the coil shock for sure helped give me that kind of more downhill feel. The bike is pretty heavy and I noticed that when I was descending. Trying to pick up over little things was quite a mission, if I'm honest, especially when you're tired. So this bike, personally, I wouldn't recommend buying one if you're looking to do big long days in the saddle, because it is tiring. Bearing in mind this is an aluminium one. I checked at the weight versus aluminium and carbon. I think it was like £1.5 to £2 difference roughly, so it's not that much. There is a lot going on in that middle area with all the idlers, and that probably adds a bit of weight. But overall, like, I would give it super high marks for how it like rode and descended. Cornered, great. Like I said, all the weight is probably in the middle, so that's where you're going to want it. You want grip in the corners. Felt really good there. So we ended up weighing my bike with my build kit on it and it was about £40. I can't say that that would be the same as the bike came fully built with Bontrager and RockShox Sram stuff on it. Could be lighter, could be the same. I can't comment on that. I guess we should move on to the real problem, which was the drivetrain and the nightmare that caused me in that race. when the bike came, it came fully built, assembled, I assume from Trek UK or the bike shop I bought it from. When I took it out of the box, the derailleur looked bent, and I didn't really question that, in all honesty. So I decided, I rode it in the race, spoke to a couple people, questioned that, and apparently that's how the derailleur comes. A couple other people have the same exact drivetrain and it came like that. Apparently that's how it is, so rule that out. As we were riding, shooting this video, the chain came off twice. Completely different scenarios. One was off the drop that you're about to see here. So yeah, I just did that one clip of dropping off that, and as you saw in the slow-mo, the chain bounced off. But it's bounced off in all possible areas. Lower idler, chainring, and this as well. If this was further around, I don't think this would have popped off. But that is not good. That's a little drop and it's popped off. I'm glad we were able to get that, to be honest, just to show what it was doing. And then the next one was basically just on a section with lots of rocks and braking bumps. So the second time, we were doing the rough bit here that you just saw the slow-mo clip off, and the chain's done the same thing. It stayed on the idler, but it's come off on this bottom roller, which we will show has zero, it's got teeth, but they're tiny. Almost pointless having them there. But it's not very good, that, is it? So, still very, very puzzled. We only shot that the other day, and I can't understand why. So when I'm climbing in my easiest gear, you can see that the derailleur is completely straight, so it's almost like the chain's too tight. You wouldn't want to take any more links out, which a lot of people have been in the comments saying, take a link out, take extra links out, all this sort of stuff. That's not the problem. So we ended up dropping by the local bike shop to get them to have a little look at it. I did mention that someone from Sram and someone from Trek kindly reached out and helped me basically, or guide me through some setup tips. So what we did was check the length of the chain. Is the length of the chain correct for that bike and for that chainring size? The chainring on it is a 30 tooth. I will show you right now the process that we went through to find out the compatibility with that on SRAM's app. We'll go to that now. So we're just back from riding. We've got the SRAM Access app here, and we're just going to go through everything. So brand Trek /Gen 6 275, frame size medium large, chainring size 30. Submit, and then it gives you all the setup positions. So it's in setup A already. Chain length is 126 links, we've just checked, and it supports 32, 32 tooth and 34. So basically we've eliminated the setup things. So I've done it all correct. The bike came fully assembled from Trek, I assume. So we're just checking some spacing and stuff on the BB and the idler, make sure everything looks lined up, and then we can eliminate that it's nothing I've done wrong. So we'll go and have a look. So basically everything that we went through that checklist there checked out right and correct. It's 126 links for a 30 tooth, but that's compatible with a 32 and I believe a 34. So the chain's the right length. The next thing was to check the gears and tune the gears and go through that setup process. So we had the app, we went through all that, tuned it. We did manage to get the gears a little bit better. The next thing that crept into my head and the person that was working on the bike could be the chain line. So I think high pivot bikes are quite notorious for having not as great chain lines, and they're really hard to get right. So that was the kind of next thing. We made sure that the idlers lined up well with each other. It did. The only thing that we seemed to possibly make an improvement with is that that bottom roller can be adjusted, so you shift and twist the MRP device higher up so that the chain even has more tension. So to come to a final conclusion, we have done that. We have altered that position of that idler to make the chain a little bit tighter. So that brings us to the point now where we're going to go back out, test it out, see if it comes off, see if it makes any difference, because it didn't take long for the chain to come off originally. And fingers crossed that a simple little tip like that keeps the chain on. The other thing that I want to mention is this really shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. We checked that the derailleur was in type A position because there's a type A and a type B position. It was always in the type A position, which is supposed to be for that bike. The bike came fully built. My opinion is that when the bike comes out of the box, you do a quick bolt check, you go and ride it. No adjustments were made to the chain or the bike or the drivetrain, so as it comes should be in fully working order, but it doesn't seem like it's been like that. So I'm a bit puzzled on that. I don't know whether that's a Trek UK thing or a bike shop thing. I'm unsure. Right, we're not even 10 to 15 minutes into riding. Honestly, I have my fingers crossed that everything would go smooth after all the checks that you just saw and that we ran through to make sure it was all right. And the chain has come off the top idler, which is super frustrating. This idler, there's literally not really any gap for the chain to come out. To get the chain guide off here, you have to use a bolt, so it's not super accessible and quick, which is kind of frustrating. I'm super puzzled. This is probably one of the most unlucky experiences I've had on a bike. The bike rips, but the bike isn't sustainable to ride, especially in my personal experience. You can make your own mind up if you demo them or have one yourself or have a high pivot bike. I've just been super unlucky, like more than a handful of times. And I don't think that's excusable. I don't know if it's a drivetrain thing, a bike thing, a design thing, a chain line. We have went through all the checks and it all works out good. The spacing's correct, the chain length's correct, the derailleur and the gears are set up correct. I don't know what else to say, so I'm kind of stumped. Get in the comments, let me know your opinions. Drop a like on the video. If you want to see more bike reviews, get in the comments, let me know what bikes I should review, what should I try out, and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the upcoming videos. We are off to Utah, so you know what's going to be happening there. Stoked for that. Let's get after it.